What's up, TY? Josh here. Hope everybody's doing well. We are in the book of Mark. I tell you what, I'm going to jump right in and get going. Funny thing is, this is my third try. The first try, I was literally at the very end of this video, and my boys walked right in, like from school, and I was like, and then my second try, I was like halfway through, and okay, we're just going to get this through. We're good. But I hope you guys are all doing well. We are in the book of Mark, and we are coming towards the end of the book of Mark. We've been in here for the past couple months, and now we're getting towards the end of it. We're in Mark 13 and 14 today, and instead of like camping out on one passage or one story, which is kind of what we've done as we've walked through it, like as we've gone through Mark, we've just said, hey, let's pick out this story. Let's pick out this. I am going to stop at a story, but I really want to just set up what's happening, because really what's happening here in this part of the book of Mark, we're coming to the end, right? We're getting to the end of, well, essentially, it's the end of the life of Jesus, right? We're getting to the end of the gospel, and this is leading up to, we're in the part now that we're leading up to the death of Jesus. Like Easter, like Good Friday is now right around the corner, and Easter is coming. And Jesus is in this part, like in Mark 13, like Jesus is like telling his disciples, like, it's coming, the end is near. You don't really know when things are gonna happen and when, but there will be signs, and he's kind of giving them a little bit of a heads up, right? So his disciples they don't fully understand what he's saying, right? Like, they're not sure, but he is starting to lay out that, hey, the end is, we're almost there. And, and so here we are. It's been 3 years. These disciples, these guys, these young guys, these teenagers, essentially. We don't know exactly how old. The Bible doesn't give us like birth dates, like, oh, Matthew was born on. We don't know that. But we do know, but what we do know is that they were probably young guys. They're probably like teenagers, maybe their early 20s. Which is really confusing, because we see some of the old art from like the Renaissance era and stuff like that, and some of the disciples just look old. Like, they have pictures, they have these long beards. I'm like, dang. I know some 18-year-olds that can grow a beard, but like that thing is confusing. But besides the point. But here we are. These disciples have been following Jesus for 3 years now, and to be a disciple means that you take on, not in our language, we don't use this, you take on a teacher's yoke. Now, we don't use that. You're like, you take on a yoke, what, like an egg yolk? No, different word. You take on their teaching. Basically, you're like, okay, teacher, I want to learn the things that you have, that you think. What do you think? How'd you get there? And I'm gonna follow in your footsteps. I want to be like you. And so you become a disciple of that rabbi, right? And so Jesus picks these 12 guys. They're his disciples. They're the guys that are going to follow him. They're the guys that are going to, that want to become and do the thing he does. Take on his teachings. Learn the things that he think like he does. Do what he does. That's not much different than being a disciple of his today, except the difference is we don't follow him literally in the sense that, like, Jesus isn't going to come to my door and be like, hey, Josh, we're going to do this whole walk on water thing again. Although that would be awesome, but not happening. Well, not that I don't think so. But we still, same idea. We still take on his yoke. We still take on his teaching. We still do the things he does. And now we're getting towards the end of the story. And as we get towards the end of the story, right, we get to this part where they have the Last Supper. And in all Matthew, Mark, and Luke, there's the story of the Passover dinner. And then in John, it's also, but there's an added part in John. That's where I'm going to come to. But essentially, at this Passover dinner, they're in the upper room. They're reclining at the table. That's what one does in that time when they're sharing a meal. And Jesus takes bread and he breaks it and he says, This is my body, and it is broken for you. And Jesus is telling us, he's like looking ahead, right? And he's like, I know what's coming in a few days. Actually, at that point, it was like, I know what's coming, in the next few hours. But he says, this is my body. It's going to be broken for you. I want you to take it and eat it in remembrance of me. And then he takes the wine and he says, this is my blood that has been shed for you. And I want you to take it and drink it in remembrance of me. And Jesus is giving us, we do this today still, right? Every week we take communion. And what that is that's remembering, not that Passover meal, like, oh, remember when Jesus had dinner with his disciples? Like, yes, we can remember that. But really what it was we remember, Jesus was telling us ahead of time, right? He's like, remember when my body was broken for you, and when I spilled my blood, I shed my blood for you so that you could have life. And it all goes back to that night when they're at the table, and so they do this, and then Jesus says, one of you is gonna betray me, and it's like, what's gonna happen? And he knows it's coming. He knows it's right around the corner. But here's the part I want to kind of stop at is in John 13. Jesus goes to these guys, ragtag group of disciples, and he says, he gets down, he pours water into the basin, and it says he begins to wash and wipe his disciples' feet. And I want us to understand this. Ready? Check this out. This is 2,000 years ago. This isn't 2021. There's not like paved roads. There's not. So the roads are dirt, right? Dust, and there's probably animal droppings and poop and stuff all over. And I don't know exactly what it's like. This is what I picture. This is how I've heard it described, though, right? And these guys are walking around, and they might have sandals on. Let's say they have sandals on, but they're not like chilling. Like I got my my nice like little polka dot socks on, and every day I wake up and put a new pair of socks on. You should too, and clean. I put a new pair of clean socks on, and I can only imagine. How dirty their feet must have been. And this reminds me, total side note, because these guys are teenagers, right? Like they're young, I don't know, they're teenagers, early 20s, whatever. If anybody ever asks you guys, this is a free story, okay? If anybody asks you if you believe in miracles, I want to suggest yes, because I do, because I witness one every single year. At Summer Quest or any retreat I do with middle school boys. Because I promise you, I don't know how this happens. I don't know what happens, but within 10 minutes of showing up to camp, that room already has a funk to it. Like funk. Like you walk in and you're like, whoa. That in and of itself is a miracle that it can smell that bad that fast. Unless the camp is like, hey, let's give them a head start and put this like dirty sock smell in here, and then they'll feel at home right away, and we'll welcome. Unless that's happening, which I don't think it is, it's a miracle it smells that bad. Anyways, beyond the point. Let's get back. But here these disciples are sitting, and Jesus goes and bends down, takes the water, and he starts to wash their feet, their grubby, dirty feet. To the point where Peter's like, nope, absolutely not happening, Jesus. You are the Son of Man. Like, you are not washing my feet. In fact, this should be reversed. I'm going to wash your feet. Because remember, this is Jesus. This is God with skin. This is God incarnate. This is God with flesh. And he's here, and he's like, and he goes to take these guys' feet, and he's bends down, he starts pouring the water, and he starts washing their feet. Now, here's why I think that story is so important, and here's why I love it. Like, can you think of a more humble posture, a more servant-hearted act than that right there. And when I say that we're supposed to be like Jesus, I mean, we are, as followers of Jesus, we're supposed to do the things that he does, love the things that he loves, hate the things that he hates. And if Jesus, so for me, if I'm going to do that, I need to be like Jesus, and he humbles himself in a posture of humility and service, and begins to wash their feet in a way that they were like, it was they didn't know what to do with themselves. And so for me, I am to humble myself, put myself in a humble posture, in a position of service to others. And I believe that's what we are supposed to do. You, me, to come with a humble heart. Right before Jesus gives his life, he's down on his knees doing this, washing their feet. And I just love, I mean, we're talking, it's right before, like right after this, he tells Peter, like, you're going to deny me. Peter's like, I would never deny you, Lord, not you, never. And then sure enough, Peter denies him. And like, and Jesus knows these things are coming, but he humbles himself right before he goes to the cross. And if Jesus could do that, you guys, we can put ourselves in a posture of humility. And so here's my charge. Here's what my hope is as we go forward. You know, March 11th, we're just under a month from Easter, is that as we continue to look forward, that you would look for opportunities to serve others in a humble, loving posture. Because when you're serving in a loving, humble posture, you're literally taking the example that Jesus gave us right here, John 13. You're literally taking that example and you're saying, I'm going to do like you did. To be his disciple, I'm going to follow in his footsteps closely and do the things he does. Humble service. Like, what better way to honor and follow Jesus than to do those things? To humbly submit and serve others. That's my hope and prayer for you guys, is that we would do that. And I tell you what, I promise you this. In the way that those first disciples, the same disciples that Jesus washed their feet, in the way that they changed the world, like literally started this movement of billions of people that follow Jesus over the last 2,000 years. Literally, it starts out with these 12 guys and then quickly grows in that region. But started out with them, and I venture to say that it started out because he set the example, and then they went and did likewise. They served and they loved, they proclaimed, they did those things. And so now it's our turn. And I think that like they changed the world, we have an opportunity to change the world. Can you imagine? Humble service to others looks radical in 2021. Radical. Looks way like radical to humbly serve others. So let's go do that. All right? All right. Hope you guys are well. Miss you. We will be seeing you soon. Soon. We're getting back. All right.